And welcome back, everyone. We got the 24.2 post-workout analysis and watch back. Fresh off of doing it, you can probably tell from our
Not
color on our
fresh.
face.
Not fresh.
Not fresh at all. 20 minutes of fun, 24.2. What was it?
So we got a 20-minute AMRAP here, 300-meter row for everybody. Ladies, guys, in-betweens, 300 meters. Then we got 10 deadlifts at, what was your weight, 185?
185 for men.
Yeah, 125 for the ladies, and then 50 double unders.
Yeah, big chunk of work, 20 minutes. That's like a half marathon when it comes to CrossFit. So we're going to talk our initial thoughts when we saw the workout and jump right into it and watch it with you and tell you what our experience was like going through it. So when you saw it announced, initial reactions?
So a good long workout for sure, you know, but for me personally, I can do double unders. I just don't like to do them because I pee my pants a lot, and I'm just going to be real with you guys on that one. It is a hole in my game that I am too lazy to work on. We're getting real today. So I avoid double unders. And then so when they showed up, I wasn't super stoked on it because I knew I'd be doing a lot of them. But it's a good workout. It's very accessible, which I really liked.
It is.
You know, lower weight on the deadlifts, a row that's not too terrible in distance. So it can be infinitely scaled and done. And that's pretty cool. What about
you? Initially, the three movements in and of themselves, I don't mind them. I appreciate a deadlift bar that's not 225 deadlifts, especially for volume, aren't my jam. So 10 at a moderate weight, I really like double unders, and I like the rower. When I saw the time domain, for me, I feel like I'm more of a power athlete. So 20 minutes is a really long time to do work. So if this was like 5 or 6 rounds for time, I think I would have really liked it. This one was challenging to try and figure out the pacing because you're like, if I go too hard in the first 4 or 5 minutes, the last 15 are going to be really miserable. If I don't go hard enough and I'm at the 12-minute mark and I'm like, crap, you coasted this thing, you're kind of screwed for the last 8 in terms of getting a score. So there's a really unique middle point there. But I do appreciate the accessibility. A lot of folks are going to be able to come out here. A lot of folks can do this one RX again, work on those double unders and the barbell. So we're going to jump into it with you and tell you what our experience was like, as well as our strategy, what some of the things we were thinking about as we're going into this one. So jump along for the 20-minute ride with us.
First off, this is a great workout for Rebel PT to be sponsoring this week. Our resident pelvic floor PT will be helping out our athletes this week. And I think a lot of us ladies, we do pee our pants. We don't like to talk about it. We just avoid it. So it's nice that she'll be here to be able to talk to our athletes and give them some tips and exercises to help with those double unders in the future, because this is just gonna crush some people for sure. Black pants are necessary.
So we're starting off on the rower here, and while it might look like we're moving in slow motion, this is actually intentional. Pacing on the rower, that's going to be a big topic of discussion. What was your pace that you were trying to hold or go into this workout with?
So Concept 2 put out a really good graphic, and it said basically if you row at this time per 500 meters, this is how long it'll take you to do 300 meters. And that was awesome. It gave me a number to look at, and that's what I was trying to maintain the whole time. I was staying in that 2-minute range with like a plus or minus 5 seconds, and that put me at about like a 120 pace to finish my 300. And I think what's really cool about these workouts, the last two, is that they're really good if you do CrossFit a lot, which, you know, it's interesting to say that it's a CrossFit Open, but like, you know, strategy and all that kind of stuff. If you've got CrossFit workouts, you know, the reps under your belt, you'll be able to tackle this pretty well.
Yeah. And I'll talk about my pacing next time on the rower here. The thought process is quick transitions and smaller sets. So 6-4 for me on the deadlifts. Deadlifts for volume, not great for me. Deadlifts 10 at a time, also not great for me. So if I can chip away at 6-4, I'm a much happier camper. And that actually seemed to work really well. I was able to hold 6-4 throughout. So if this deadlift bar is heavy for you, I would encourage 4-3-3, 6-4, something to break it up that you're not going to be staring at it for too long, but that's going to be the quickest of the 3 movements in the workout.
Yeah, I went 5-5 on that, and that was a good breakdown. I thought about doing I heard you doing the 6-4, and I was like, I don't know if I want that extra rep there. That was like a little too much.
So first round, 207, and my strategy and thought process going into this is I was really hoping to get 9 rounds, which is about a 215 pace. So that's right on track. In terms of the row, some of the things I had seen and heard were 5K pace and most of us have not rowed a 5K
Yeah,
for time
that
before.
means nothing to me.
So it's really tough to use that as a barometer. Another alternative would be whatever your 2K pace is, add 8 to 10 seconds to that. So for me, I was really trying to hold like a 155 on the rower. I was able to do that for the first number of rounds, and then it tapered off to closer to like 157 to 2 minutes towards those final rounds. But for me, the row out of these three movements was move at a moderate pace, but slow the stroke rate down where I could breathe. And out of the three movements for me, this is the one that I thought I could breathe more easily compared to the other two.
Well, if you triple out on your double unders, you can just breathe more there. And that was my strategy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so I have my double unders, but because I don't do them a lot, obviously doing a lot of them adds up. And so the technique is there, but it goes very quickly. But on the rower, I used two different techniques as I got tired. In the beginning, it was definitely that big pull and lower strokes per minute. But then I realized I lowered the damper slightly and was able to increase my strokes per minute and decrease my pace. So that felt good too. It was really just playing with it. It's 20 freaking minutes. Like,
yeah, it is.
You got time to play around.
And a little admiration for myself there. Nice little 5-second break between those deadlift sets, which, you know, it's easy to stay disciplined early on in a workout, but that's what I would encourage athletes to, whether you like to think of it in terms of time. I'm giving myself 5 seconds before I pick this bar up again, 5 seconds before I start my jumps again. Pick either a time or a number of breaths and try and stay disciplined, I think, because what you're going to find is there are a lot of transitions and a lot of times to rest in this workout. So the more we can cut down on those rest breaks, the better. Another learning point there is if you trip, if you mess up, take a breath.
Yeah.
Just get back to it. There's no sense in getting frustrated and gripping the rope tighter and huffing and puffing. You've got a lot of work in front of you, so just stay focused on getting back to that rope, getting back to that barbell as quickly as you can, and just starting to knock out reps.
Yeah, I was using a little bit of built-in rest there when I was rowing to kind of let the meters roll over, but shake out my hands, because I did realize this wasn't something I was expecting. And I should have known, right? You're pulling, and then you get to the rope, and I was like, "Where are my arms?
Yeah,
they're gone." So letting them shake out a little bit before I got jumping on the rope was super helpful. And then, you know, you see my hands are so high. I've switched my handles. I don't know if that helps, but I have tape on one of my handles, and so I switch it to the other hand that it's always in. And I did get a big set after this, so I was kind of pumped about that. But you can tell I'm tired, and I pull my hands up a little too high, and that's part of the issue there. But, you know, I switched my handles, and suddenly I can jump rope, which is just not right.
Yeah, so we're about a quarter of the way into this workout. When did you start to feel like you were feeling it, if at any point in time where you're like, oh, this is getting a little bit gross now?
For me, because I was messing up those double unders, it didn't get gross. It just I got a little anxiety because I had a goal I wanted to hit, and I knew if I didn't hit it, I'd be upset with myself a little bit. So it was more just anxiety than anything else. But every time I picked up the deadlift bar, I was like, oh, this is heavy.
Yeah, I thought the same.
It wasn't like the row was fine. The double unders were just kind of, you know, doing what I could to make sure I stayed focused and got through them. But like that bar, I was like, oh, geez, I'd be happy if it was just 5 reps.
Yeah. And not to add any extra distractions here, but both of us are rocking out this workout, and the fire marshal comes.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Eric about. I was like, hey, can you take care of that? Because
that was not planned. A surprise visit, testing out all of our exit signs and everything else. So as we were working through it, like that thought floated around in my head. I was like, please don't find anything wrong that like we're gonna get fined or shut us down and be like, hey, shut the workout down. You guys are done.
That's not what I wanted to do at all. I do like noticing that your shirt is a completely different color in this video than it is right now.
Yes.
And it's the same shirt.
It's the same shirt.
Also, mine's different, but that's for other reasons.
Yes. So jumps for me, I was going 30-20. I saw a couple athletes do that, and I like double unders. I maybe could have held on for 50, but I think it would have really impacted the row pace. So even if you feel really good about deadlifts or jump rope, I'm still going to encourage you to break here.
Yeah,
unless you are elite and going for 9 or 10 plus rounds, I think you're better off taking the short 3 to 5 second break because it's going to pay off for the rest of the movements. And for me, I do like the jump rope, but the thought process that was going on in my head was how light can I hold onto these handles and still let the rope spin? Because it is such a grip intensive workout on the rower. I mean, I'm trying to relax my grip there. The deadlift, you have to grip that bar to pull it off the ground. And so if you are gripping the rope with a lot of intensity, that can cause some of the rhythm to get out of whack. It can blow up your forearms and your shoulders, and it can be hard to keep those double unders together. So
Yeah.
for me, I encourage you, what's the lightest amount you can hold on the rope and still keep that spin going?
Yeah. I was noticing myself like loosening my grip as I pulled
Yeah.
the handle of the rower in, anything to kind of take some of the tension out of the forearms.
Yeah. Now, with the rowing stroke here, because I think a majority of this workout, for some of us, is
Mhm.
going to be the row. And when we start looking at ways we can get the most out of our pulls, it comes down to efficiency.
Mhm.
So, what are some of the things that are going on in your head when it comes to being efficient with the rowing stroke?
So making sure that the whole body is activated. First of all, if your midsection is feeling a little soft, we're losing energy there. We're not
Mhm.
able to put as much energy into the pull. Making sure that our hands are not super close or super far apart. Pulling those shoulder blades down into the back pockets so you get a good pull there. Making sure all the energy you're putting into the rower, you're getting back out of the rower
Yeah.
is really the biggest goal there.
Yeah.
We work on it a little today in class, and that was fun to show people like, hey, if you change this and this, it'll go better.
Yeah.
It's such an individualistic thing now.
It's one of the things I always like to try and encourage athletes on is figure out how long of a rowing stroke you can do and still keep your heels connected
Mhm.
to the foot pedals. Because what people will find is it's going to shorten their rowing stroke for a lot of us because of mobility and other reasons. But you can get more power out of that stroke than if you stay upright. If your hips slide to the handles and you
Mhm.
go on your toes, hey, that kind of blows up your quads a little bit more. But to me, if you can stay connected with those good foot pedals and you drive through your hips and the
Mhm.
backside of your legs, you're going to be surprised that you can settle into a lower stroke rate and still get some good power
For
out of
sure.
those strokes. And for some of us, that could be helpful of, hey, I need to find a rowing pace and a stroke rate that allows me to breathe and recover here.
Yeah.
The other thing I want you to notice both with Chelsea and with me here is notice the time from the pull to the time with the recovery.
Mhm.
That pull is 1.5, if not 2 times faster than that recovery.
Yeah.
We see that a lot where athletes rush getting back to the rower
Mhm.
and it only blows up your heart rate. That is
Yeah.
your opportunity to take that big breath, then you reset, and then you put effort into the machine. So take advantage of that recovery part of the stroke. Slow back to the rower, big
Mhm.
drive away.
Yeah. And what I found myself kind of doing there was I got messed up a bunch and I was trying to get back to the rower quickly. I do like your setup better. I was trying it out with like in order, but I
Mhm.
think having that rope in the middle is much better because you can get back to the rower faster. But I had to remind myself, don't blow up on the rower just because you're trying to make up time.
Yep.
That's not going to pay off. So you can get like the first 75 meters at a pretty quick pace, but then you need to settle in and get out of that sprint mentality. Like you're not going to make up time on the rower. It'll
No.
maybe get you 10 seconds and then
Yeah.
you're completely blown up for those
Yeah.
deadlifts.
Yeah, and for anyone who's done CrossFit for a while and you've played around with the rower, you know how much more effort it takes to shave 5 seconds off that row pace. To go from a 2 to a 155 or a 205 to a 2, that is a lot of
Mhm.
energy. So you're better off sacrificing those 3 to 4 seconds and having your transitions be
Yeah.
quick,
Agreed.
in
Yeah.
my opinion.
This is definitely, kind of sucks because you do enough fitness and you're like, okay, now I got to work on my brain a little bit while
Yep.
I'm working out. And with this length of workout, when it's certain movements that you have to really stay present with,
Yep.
it's a very mentally taxing workout where you got to kind of, okay, don't get frustrated with the rope, calm down, regroup, don't go balls out on
Yep.
the rower. Keep a steady pace.
Yep.
You have to stay present the whole time, and that's super
Yeah.
annoying.
I agree.
You can't just black out.
And the one challenge with this workout as well is the number of transitions. So we've
Mhm.
got 3 transitions within every round. So even if your goal is 5, 6 rounds, that's 18 or more transitions you
Mhm.
could be looking at. So that's why it's going to be very important to stay disciplined with those transitions, set yourself up for success. And a couple ways that we both like to do that. One is on the rower. When you're getting the straps set, put your foot in there, put 3 fingers between your foot and the strap, and tighten to that level.
Yeah.
That's going to give you enough play that you can easily get your feet in and out,
Yeah.
and also still make you feel secure. So, when you're watching us get in and out of this, we're not messing around with those straps. One foot goes in. I like to get one pull in with one foot in,
Mhm.
and my second foot will slide in when I'm heading back to the rower. And then you can also watch on the transitions out of the rower, it's an easy kick, and you are out. You're not dealing with those straps along your feet.
Yeah. The only issue with mine is mine's older, and so
Mhm.
the straps were a little floppier. So I did have
Yeah.
to. Normally, I can just slide a foot in. This time, I had to make sure I picked it up with my hand so my
Yeah.
foot didn't get stuck.
Yep. So that's one area. The second area that you'll notice too is how you set your jump rope down. I know we get really excited when you
Mhm.
finish
Yeah.
those rounds. You're like, yes, I got 50 done. And either you're happy or maybe you're pissed at the rope. And either
Yeah.
way, you throw the rope to the ground or you just let it fall behind you.
Yeah.
Take that half a second, just like Chelsea did there, let it hit your feet, and then set the handles down so that you can easily come back to it and it's ready to go. There's not much worse or drives more anxiety in athletes than when you're going back to your rope and there's a knot or it's
Yeah.
tangled and now you're fumbling around and you're getting panicked. So take that extra second, let the rope hit your feet, set the handles down in front of you so you have this nice arc to step back into,
Yeah.
which is going to be helpful there as well.
And now you saw me kind of like run back to the rower. I realized I needed to move a little quicker if I wanted to hit my goal. And now we're at 13 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got the pace and you know where you can push it, push it.
Yep.
You can wait till the 15-minute mark if you like, but for me, I knew I couldn't wait that long. So that's when I started to increase my stroke rate, get a little bit more out of that rower, because I was like, okay, this is going to be over, and I want to be happy with my score.
Yep.
So I really started to push the pace,
Yeah.
not on the deadlifts, but on the rower. 'Cause,
100%.
like, yeah, it was.
And
not
that's
gonna
where
happen.
I encourage you, if you are somebody who has a goal for this one,
Mhm.
talk to your judge and figure out for yourself, like, what are some of those time hacks I'm looking
Yeah.
for? Like, if I want to get 6 rounds, that means I've got to do a round every 3.5
Mhm.
minutes. So can my judge help me stay accountable
Yeah.
to some of those time domains? And if I need to pick it up, you can make some of those adjustments in game. So like I said, for me, goal was 9 rounds. I knew about every 2.15 I had to hit a round.
Yeah.
It started off well. It started to taper here near the end, and then as you get closer to this like final quarter, you can kind of see like do you have the push? Do you not?
Mhm.
For me, I definitely found even if I wanted to go with 10 deadlifts or 50 jumps, I just don't think my body was prepared for what that was going to take in terms of the
Mhm.
toll.
Yeah, I had a plan for my jumps, and when that went out the window, it was just get in as many as you could. If I
Yeah.
hit a big set, I was cool. Like, cool, I got a big set in.
Yeah.
But outside of that,
And I think that's a great point for our folks who maybe don't have double unders
Mhm.
as efficiently as they'd like. You know, you can come in with a game plan of sets of 10, sets of 15, but if that goes out the window, the name of the game is just like get back
through it,
to
yeah.
attempting them. So if it's like 5 trip, oh well,
Yeah.
5 trip, oh well. Maybe it's a big deep breath like
Mhm.
Chelsea's doing here. Big breath, reset, shake it off, flush it, back to testing and attempting it. So I think for a lot of folks, this is going to be a double under workout though,
Mhm.
because the
Yeah.
volume's high enough, and when you're trying to jump under fatigue, it's just a different animal than when you're jumping fresh.
Yeah. For sure. It was a lot of self-talk on that one. It
Yep.
was, trying to remember, hey, let's relax the shoulders. Hey, just do double unders. Don't. I started to get stressed about getting to the next
Yep,
part.
yep.
And you got to stay present in the movement you're doing there. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about getting back to the rower because you have to finish the jumps first.
Yeah. And this might not make sense to others, but for some reason it makes sense in my head. If I'm struggling or the double unders aren't going well, I have this thought in my head of high, slow double unders
Mhm.
because we can get panicked and we try and rush the handles and we try and
Yeah.
rush flicking the hands faster. And instead, if we think, let me put a little more effort, let me jump a little bit higher and find a smoother rhythm with a double tap of those
Yeah.
hands, sometimes it can allow you to find that rhythm. Because when we get panicked and stressed, everything speeds up a little bit. And that
Yeah.
usually doesn't work well with finding that rhythm with our rope.
Mine was put the rope where you want it. Just spit. Because sometimes I get a little bogged down with, hey, jump like this. Hey, do your shoulders like this. Hey, hands here. And it's just like, no, put the rope where it needs to be.
Yep.
And do the dang double unders.
Yeah. I like the transitions here where it is one of those things where if
Yeah.
double unders are a struggle for you and your heart rate's not super blown up, then you can push the pace on the
Mhm.
rower. You can push the pace on the barbell, knowing like I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this rope trying to get through
Yeah.
those reps.
And I was like, I need to finish this round. So I was like, I have to get to the rope by the 18.
Yep.
Like, I need to be there at that time so that I have enough time to
Yeah.
hit all 50.
This was a tough spot. I mean, you can see posture wise,
Oh,
still
yeah.
okay, but like breathing really heavy, taking big inhales. Looking at the clock, I got back to the rower at about the 16 mark. So I was like, I got to get 2 rounds
Mhm.
in 4 minutes, which I hadn't been holding that pace the entire time. So even in my head, I was like, can you hold on for 10 here? And it just was like, I just don't think it was going to allow me to
Yeah.
go right into 50 jumps and go
Yeah,
right back to the
that's what
rower.
I was thinking too. I was like, could I do all 10 deadlifts? And I was like, no, like you're not gonna be able to hold onto the rope if you do that.
Right, exactly. So here it's kind of like, all right, we got to get this rope going. And this is a longer workout. So I think mentally preparing that those first 2 to 4 minutes, I don't want to use the word comfortable, but sustainable is what it should
Yeah.
feel like. You should not be gassed going back to the rower for the second or maybe even the third round, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where if you're not used to starting a long workout on the rower,
Yep.
it's gonna be tough for you to maintain a pace. You're really gonna have to watch that screen.
And you're going to get really excited. And those first couple pulls, you're like, wow, this feels great.
Yeah.
It's super easy. I'm flying. And then it really starts to settle in here.
Yeah.
So we're getting into the final stretches here.
Mm-hmm.
Longer workouts, I know we're kind of going maybe back to the beginning here, but this comes to mind, is like warming up for a long workout.
Mhm.
Typically we think short, intense workout, fast or longer warm up. Longer workouts, sometimes we run into the trap of like, I don't need to warm
Yeah.
up that much. Like the first round's my warm up. Now having done it, what are some of the things that you believe would be helpful for athletes to think about in their warm up, getting prepped? Like what was fatiguing or sore for you as you were going through it?
You know, just opening up the hips as much as possible for
Yeah.
sure, with all the hinging and the jumping, super helpful. Loosening up the shoulders too, because you're actually going to use those a lot more than you think you are. Holding onto that bar, holding on to the everything really. So
Yep.
making sure the shoulders are ready and yeah, big with the hips and doing a little bit of single leg work, whether it's some monster man walks, kick outs, single leg RDLs, because you are pushing 2 feet the whole time.
Yep.
And if you have one leg that likes to do more work than the other leg,
Yep.
it's good to warm them up individually as well.
Yeah, shout out to Rebel PT. We actually have a reel from last week
Mhm.
or 2 weeks ago about some good hip openers and exercises we can recommend. You go check that out. So we're in the home stretch here. This is just like turn and burn, see what we can get before the final 20. Was able to hold on for 10 here, and man, was that effortful. Like it took a lot out of me.
Yeah, you tried to throw your barbell at me.
I tried. And then
I'm trying
in
to
like
rip it, man.
6 seconds, I think I got 13 jumps. So not quite not quite that many jumps, but not quite the 9 rounds I was shooting for, but happy with the effort nonetheless.
Mhm.
I will say, having done it now, for those athletes who these movements you're efficient with, barbell and jump rope, anticipate just that volume and like trying to find the sustainable pace. For athletes who maybe are working on double unders, working on some of these, and they want to do this movement, this workout RX, any thoughts for those folks?
Just the mindset's going to be the tough one, right? If you know that those double unders are going to get you, that doesn't mean go fast on the other stuff, because like that's just going to screw you for your double unders. So same game plan for the deadlifts and the rowing, and then when it comes to those double unders, do what you can. You know, if the game plan goes out the window, that's okay, right? Chip away at them, stay nice and smooth, and if you find yourself tripping a lot, take a second to just recenter, pull it all back in, and then go from there. It's gonna be tough. Double unders, man, it sucks because when you mess up, you get smacked with it. Like it's painful. It's not like, oh, I just like missed a rep. It's like it hurts. It's just like it's a tough one to practice.
I agree. And you know, in the workout, if you're struggling, tripping, go back to the basics. Do some single under bounces, do some tall single under bounces, and then work into those double unders. It's going to be okay. It's not like you have to sprint through some of those trips. And then, you know, remember why you're getting into this thing. If this is RX and you're able to click that RX button, be proud that you can click the RX button, that you're attempting this workout RX. Have fun with it. It's a long one. It is a good workout. It's a sweaty one. Very tired, but I can't say, at least as of now, like I don't feel like completely wrecked.
I'm feeling wrecked. I'm like over here shivering right now and shaking a little bit still. Like I'm not okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this one impacts us the next day. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how this one feels tomorrow. Because last week's was kind of like the day after hangover. Maybe this one will be the same.
Last week I would have rather done that for 20 minutes than do this again.
Really? Oh.
Yes. For sure. Yeah.
I appreciate this one. Any other final thoughts? So I'd say our big pieces, big takeaways for me:
Mhm.
pacing on the machine, smooth, efficient strokes, break up the deads, break up the jump rope and whatever manageable sets you have, and then have a reset button, if you
Yeah.
will. If things aren't going the way you'd like on the rope or on the machine or on the deadlifts, or things go completely chaotic in those 20 minutes, have a reset of taking a breath,
Mhm.
work with your coach, smile, laugh, whatever you got to do
Yeah.
to kind of flush it, and then get yourself back into it. 'Cause it's going to be a long one.
Yeah. Along those lines, have an attainable goal for the workout.
Yep.
What rounds you want to hit, all that kind of stuff. And then have a goal for your mindset. Maybe like I'm going to be happy if I don't throw a fit with my double unders,
Mhm.
or I'm going to be happy if I can maintain a solid pace on the rower. Have those little check-ins, because then, whether you get the rounds and reps
Mhm.
that you want, maybe you can still hit that personal goal, and that feels good too. It's a
does.
nice little check mark for the day for sure.
Yeah. So I know there was some backlash around this workout. I think it's a good workout. I still
There's
enjoyed it.
backlash?
People are a little upset that it's back-to-back weeks of hinge jump.
Yeah, that's all we do in life, guys. CrossFit prepares you for life. What do you do all day? You bend over,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
here we are, bending over, doing it again.
I like the accessibility. I like the challenge it's going to give to different levels. Everybody can come to the table and play.
Yeah.
Long one, get your setup right, practice some of those transitions, have fun with this one. It's week 2. We're over the halfway mark once you
Yeah.
finish this workout.
Yeah.
So enjoy it and appreciate the fitness that you have. So
Yeah.
from Chelsea and Brad, 24.2 is in the books. Hope some of these help you to achieve a better score than maybe what you were anticipating. And we look forward to seeing you on the leaderboard.
Bye.